This is an interesting story about a keynote speaker. I was sitting in the office with Dr. Henry. We worked together, but I'm in one site, she's in another, and she was at my site, and we were working on a project that we had at our job. I received a phone call from Texas. It wasn't Charlene, it was another beautiful young lady who called me, and she had asked me if this event was going to take place, and I said yes. And I said, may I know where you're calling me from? It says Texas. I said Texas. So I'm looking at Dr. Michel and said, okay, someone's calling from Texas, and she was talking about this young man who wanted to be a part of this conference. And I said, okay, who might that be? And she said to me, his name is Michael, right? Michel. See, I always have time to get that name wrong, Michel. I said, okay, what does he want to do? He says he wanted to be part of this conference because he wanted to bring about his experience, and he wanted to illustrate, and also, unfortunately, we didn't have the opportunity to have him put the vision out there, but you're going to get it once he starts speaking to you in regards to how he has changed his life around. So I said, okay, this sounds interesting. So me and Dr. Henry, we're looking like, how does this happen? Where did you find us? I have forgotten that I went even as far as going to Everbright to promote the event. And that's how she found us. And I said, of course, have him come. And ever since, we've been having a good rapport and a good relationship, and here he is with us today to give you what he considers important in regards to reaching out to you guys in regards to how you can change your destiny and how you can turn your life around. He is an entrepreneur, and he is the author of 365 hip-hop daily motivational quotes. And he is a speaker, and he is here to speak to you. So I just ask that you diligently listen to what he has to say, and let it be a vehicle or a drive to force you to make a transition or to make a decision to change your life around. So please, I want you to please give him a good welcome for being here with us.
Please give a round of applause for yourselves for being here today. When I found out about this event, I just knew that this was something that I absolutely had to be a part of. And when I found out more information on Dr. Henry's story, I just found it amazing how someone was such... You can tell someone's character when they're able to bless other people in the middle of a storm.
Right, yes.
In the middle of So this event is absolutely something I wanted to be a part of. So I'm just going to be with you very shortly, just sharing with you a little bit of my journey and a little bit of the things that I truly believe God has brought me out of. And it's been so crazy for me, because a few years ago, I'm actually just going to show you a visual. It's going to be a little bit hard to see, but if you can, the left side is what I like to call left side Carl, and the right side is what I like to call right side Carl. And they would go to work and they would work really hard, but they would come back and we were still struggling, to pay the bills and things of that nature. But I could look up the street and I see the guy on the corner, and he had all the things that I thought I wanted. He had the cars, the clothes, the money, the girls. I'm like, man, that's who I want to be like. And I started to mimic and do the things that those guys did. And I was blessed to have a mentor a few years later that said, Carl, don't be so enticed by the cheese that you fall for the trap.
That's right.
Because we can look at these things, and there's a lot of people making a lot of money in a lot of different ways, and there's one of my favorite scriptures that says, what's the use of gaining the world if you lose your soul in the process? So For me to get to the left side, to what I call the right side, Carl, doing the right things and serving the right God and helping the right people, there was 5 major keys, I like to say, that got me from the left side to the right side. So if you don't mind, I'll share a little bit about those 5 major keys and then talk a little bit about changing your destiny. Is that all right with you? And keep in mind, especially for the young folks, I reward those who pay attention. I reward those who pay attention. I reward those who what?
Pay attention.
All right, good. So if you will, just say major key.
Major key.
All right, so the first major key from how I got from the left side to the right side is my faith in God.
Amen.
See, they say faith is a substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. A lot of people say that I gotta see it to believe it. But faith tells us if you believe it, then you'll see it. So I first had to believe God wanted more for me than just the things that I was currently living in, right? And I also believed in myself. I knew that I was capable of becoming more, but unfortunately we don't always see it based on our environment that we grow up in. It was tough in my area. So what I would say to you in that regard is if you look around and there's no examples of success in your family, in your community, or even on television, that means you need to be the example.
That's right.
I don't care if there's 1,000 people who tried and failed, that just means they ain't you and you ain't them. All right, so major key number 1 is what? Faith. All right, let's go. Major key number 2, yeah, pay attention, right? Major key number 2 is I got myself a mentor. That was huge for me. I didn't have an example of success, and I was able to meet a gentleman through business. This was the first time I saw someone that looked like me, that was making a lot of money, but he was doing it in the right way.
Right.
And I approached him. His name was Mr. Self. I said, Mr. Self, I want to make a lot of money with you. I was really eager. And he said, Carl, slow down. Money is just a byproduct of the person you become. He said it's faith, family, and then finances. Once your relationship with God is in order, everything else will fall into place.
Right.
So that's who I started to model myself after, instead of the guys that were doing the wrong things. So I know in many cases you're thinking, well, Carl, you were lucky you had a Mr. Self in your life. I don't have someone like that. So I met a gentleman by the name of Les Brown. Right? Some of you might be familiar with him. He's one of the greatest motivational speakers I've ever seen. But the first time I met Les Brown, I shook his hand. I said, thank you for being my mentor all these years. He laughed because he knew exactly what I meant by that. Les Brown has a bunch of books out. He's all over YouTube. So I studied him, and he became my virtual mentor, if you will. I never met him before that day, but I studied everything he did, and I modeled myself after him, and that's how he became my mentor. So even if your mentor is not able to physically touch you, you can still be touched by them.
Right.
So major key number 2 is get yourself a what?
Mentor.
All right, cool. Just making sure y'all paying attention. All right, cool. It's going to be hard to see again, but I definitely want to try to show you this picture. It's hard to see. Don't worry about that. It's all good. The top picture shows me in the middle of a game. The bottom picture shows me in the middle of my Bible study group. So, it doesn't get much different than that, right? Now, I don't want you to get my story confused. I was never actually in a gang, but I hung out with all the guys that were. I never sold the drugs, but I hung out with all the guys that did. I never, did the crazy acts, but whenever they got into a gang fight, I was there, I had to get into it with them. So I was doing all these things because I was hanging around with the wrong people. Now, one of my favorite scriptures says, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. It doesn't matter how great of a person you are, if you surround yourself with the ones doing the wrong things, you're gonna do wrong. So major key number 3 is to change your circle of friends. As iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. Major key number 3 is to change your circle of friends. I started to hang out with people who had my solutions rather than the ones who had my same problems. The people around you are either stretching your vision or choking your dreams.
Wow.
You have to decide which ones you're hanging out with. So, young folks, if the people that you're hanging around with are drinking, more than likely you're gonna do what? Drink. If the people around you are smoking, more than likely you're gonna smoke. My mentor said, Carl, if you have 9 broke friends, you're gonna be the 10th one. You're the average of your closest friends, so you gotta be mindful of those who you're hanging around with. So in this picture, I wanted to get more spiritually sound, so I started hanging around with the guys that I already were. And that helped me be more, that helped my relationship with God grow. Now, major key number 4, say major key.
Major key.
Major key number 4 is passion. So I love what my brothers said earlier. I believe his name is Mike, right? But the brother said, I'm passionate about this. He said, this is the first job I've kept for this long. And he also said, it's not about the money. So passion means you love something so much that you would do it for free. Whether there was a paycheck attached to it or not, you would still be out there doing what you do. There's so many times I hear people all the time, and I was one of them, because I was sitting in a cubicle for 3.5 years, miserable at my job. That's not, if that's how you feel every single time you walk into work, that's probably not what you should be doing. Follow what your passion is. All right, so that's major key number 4. Major key number 4 is what? Passion. All right, so this picture right here is of Michael Jordan holding up the Most Valuable Player Award at the All-Star game. Get this. So, he likes Michael Jordan? So that goes to show you that out of the best, he was the best of the best. Right? And the way he got there, which is major key number 5, major key number 5 is laser focus. Laser focus, not just focus, but laser focus. You ask Michael Jordan in middle school, what do you want to be when you grow up? He's going to say, I want to be the best basketball player. If you ask him in high school, he's going to say the same thing. In college and even in the NBA, you ask him, what do you want to do? He's going to say, I want to be the best basketball player. He was focused. But because he was focused on that one thing, he became a movie star. Y'all remember Space Jam, right? He became the most endorsed athlete of all time with Gatorade, Wheaties, Hanes, Buick, all these different things. And the Jordan brand is the biggest brand in sports history because he was laser focused. There's a lot of times I asked a young kid what he wanted to be when he grew up. He named like 15 different things. I'm like, bro, you gotta focus on one. Be the best at one thing. That's how Jordan did it. He was the best basketball player, but because of that, it opened up so many doors for him. So it's better to be, there's no point of being a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Focus on what you're the best at. Michael Jordan is so good at basketball, nobody cares that he sucks at baseball. He's that good, right? So you gotta be laser focused.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna have a pop quiz now. Y'all ready?
Yes.
I need one of the younger kids. Someone needs to tell me the 5 major keys. Y'all got quiet. Who can tell me? I need someone to stand up and give me all 5 major keys. Can anybody do that? I see my man over here standing up. You ready? Oh, no? He's just like, I just need to sip my drink. Okay. Who remembers the 5 major keys? And keep in mind, I reward those who pay attention.
You might get some Jordans, I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Wake up. Are y'all listening?
Who we got? Going once? Oh man, going twice? None of the young folks. All right. I get 3 out of 5.
We should break a couple of
You ready? You ready? Yeah, you. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Yeah. Stand up.
Shot.
You can't be timid. All right. So I'll go over it real quick. Say major key.
Major key.
Major key number 1 is faith.
Faith.
Say major key.
Major key.
Major key number 2 is get yourself a mentor. Say major key.
Major key.
Major key number 3 is change your circle of friends. Say major key. Major key number 4 is passion. Say major key. Major key number 5 is to be laser focused. Right? Unfortunately, I couldn't give away a book that I had because we didn't have many participants, but it's all good. So, I get into a little bit of the different quotes from the book, a few excerpts. One of my favorite rappers, his name is Notorious B.I.G. He says, I made tremendous cream from $1 in a dream. I made tremendous cream from $1 in a dream. The Notorious B.I.G., he was locked up in jail, I believe at the age of 17. He was locked up in jail, but he understood that they can lock my body, but they can't trap my mind. They messed around and gave him a composition book and a pen worth $1. Every day he just started to write his thoughts down. And he filled up that notebook, and sooner or later he started to rhyme a little bit with those thoughts. By the end of his jail sentence, he had a friend that introduced him to Puff Daddy, and all he had was that notebook from jail. And Puff Daddy took that notebook and those lyrics and turned it to the #1 album in the country. And 20 years later, we still remember Notorious B.I.G. as one of the best rappers of all time, legendary. I made tremendous cream from $1 in a dream. So he took that $1 and turned it into the best album. I took my $1 and turned it into a best-selling book. So here it is. I've been blessed because a lot of the celebrities that are in this book have heard from somewhere about this book. So I've been blessed to meet Lauryn Hill, 50 Cent, Jadakiss, Charlamagne, Chris Brown, Ja Rule, El Varner, and the list goes on. And it's been a blessing because once you start to operate in your purpose, people start to notice. All right, so a few of my favorite excerpts, and I'll be out of your way soon. One of my favorite rappers goes by the name of Jay-Z. Jay-Z says, I'm different. I can't base what I'm gonna be off of what everybody isn't. As I mentioned before, if you look around and there's no examples of success, that means you need to be the example. So many people have been told that they cannot make it, but I'm here to tell you, yes, you can, despite what anybody says. See, if other people are telling you that you can't do something, I'm here to tell you that you are. A lot of times we don't have enough examples. And there's a great philosopher. He's actually from the Bronx. His name is Fat Joe. He says, nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. See, it's a hit record. The kids are singing it right now. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. If someone is trying to pull you down, that means you're already above them. Keep climbing. On your path to greatness, there will always be someone looking to sabotage your success. But it's okay. God never said the weapons wouldn't form. He said they wouldn't prosper. My man Comment says, nobody believed me until I believed me. Nobody believed me until I believed me. See, there's going to be people that tell you that you can't make it, as I mentioned before, but you have to believe in yourself more than anybody else. I'm going to ask you a question, and anybody can answer. Who is the greatest boxer of all time? You see how that was a unanimous answer? Now y'all want to participate? I see the boys raise their hand. I'm like, I know this one. Muhammad Ali. Now, the crazy part is Muhammad Ali did not have the best record in boxing.
That's right.
He lost 5 times. But he believed in himself so much that he convinced us that he was the greatest of all time. He said it everywhere he went. He said, I'm the greatest. And because of that, till this day, we still believe that. Despite the fact that Tyson had a great run and Floyd Mayweather has the best record, we still consider Ali the greatest of all time. Nobody believed him until he believed in himself. And he was saying that before he even had a championship fight. Nobody believed me until I believed me. Now, I met 50 Cent, and we've been able to maintain a relationship since that time. And he wrote a book called The 50th Law. And in that, he talks about his street experiences and a lot of different things. And I had a conversation with him. And in that conversation, he said, "Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am." And I want to touch on this real briefly and share with you a personal story of mine. And I have a younger brother, and we're 3 years apart. And I don't know what it is with young boys, but when you put them in a room together, they're gonna fight. I don't know what it is, but my brother and I would fight all the time, and it would get really, really, really physical. And my mother couldn't understand it. I don't know what was going on. I don't get it. But there was one day my brother ran in the house and he was running frantic. I said, "Yo, what's going on?" The neighborhood bully punched my brother in the face. And I'm like, "Who touched my brother?" I walked outside and him and I got into it. And long story short, after that day, nobody touched my brother anymore, right? But unfortunately, him and I still had conflict inside the house. I say all that to say this. We get riled up in our communities when an officer harms someone in our community. But we don't get as riled up when someone in our community harms somebody in our community.
That's right, say that.
See, when the neighborhood bully touched my brother, I was ready to fight. But when I look back, I'm like, "Dang, Carl, you did more damage inside than anybody did outside." Because nobody touched my brother after that day. But I was still harming him. So before we get riled up about what goes on outside of our communities, we need to look within ourselves. There's a brother by the name of Lecrae. He says, it's time we talk about who we are and who we can be. And we need to build each other up and not put each other down.
Yeah.
So I declare right now that we're no longer in a spirit of competing with each other because we're here to complete each other. Now, the last quote I want to leave you with is from a rapper by the name of Bizzle. He's a Christian rapper. And people always ask me, what's some of your favorite quotes out of the book? I don't really have one favorite, but this ranks in the top 5. You know, I have 365 of them, but this is absolutely one of the top 5. And Bizzle says, they got you ready to... Hear me out. Bizzle says, they got you ready to murder your brethren over $1 that only cost them 4 cents to print. It's evident we need help, but the question is, do we serve a living God or a dead president? Yeah. It's evident we need help, but the question is, do we serve a living God or a dead president? It costs the Federal Reserve, the U.S. government, 4 cents to print a $100 bill. But we place so much value on that $100 bill that if someone has what I want, I'm ready to murder you for it. We place more money on that piece of paper that costs 4 cents than a brother's life. That's something we need to reevaluate. And we need to serve a living God, the creator of all of these beings. And we need to understand that we're young kings and queens. And if we treated each other like that, there would be a lot less violence in our community. So, I do a lot of traveling, and every time I'm in Atlanta, I have to go down to the Dr. Martin Luther King Memorial over there. It's just one of those things, I gotta do it before I leave, and it just gives me so much energy when I leave there. But they have like TV screens and different videos playing and everything like that. So I watched a video of Dr. King walking. And I would always think like, man, what would it be like to stand next to the king in those scenarios? It's like, there's a mob of people yelling at you. Like, you gotta be so brave to walk in that every day. Like, there was always someone looking to kill him or harm him or something. When he walked, a mob formed. Like, it happened all the time. So, I'm watching this one video, and this guy just picks up a rock while Dr. King is marching. This thing is like a big rock. And he launched it at him, and it cracked Dr. King right in the head. And it like split his head open. It was bad. And when he came to his senses, like everyone on his team was riled up. Like, Dr. King, we need to go after that person. We need to kill him. We need to harm him. Like, we need to go after him. And what Dr. King said was so profound, I'm just going to leave this with you. Dr. King said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. He said, hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Wow. So once again, I go by the name of the young executive, Carl Michel. If no one's told you today, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. God bless you.
No.